Hello, hi, new-hoo, and welcome back. I'm wearing shades today because I'm going to be talking about shooting outside in the sun. And not so much about how to diffuse sunlight or how to bounce sunlight, but more specifically, how to plan your shots throughout the day of a project as the sun moves throughout the sky. Because at 10 o'clock in the morning, you may set up a beautiful shot, and if you still need to be doing that shot 2 hours later at noon, right before lunch, the sun has moved, and your shot's probably looking different now, if not bad. Pardon me with just this quick little edit to say, because I always forget, please hit the subscribe button to come back for more and to be alerted when new content comes out. Thanks very much. So you have to know where the sun is, you have to know where it's going to be moving, and you have to plan your shots based on that. And by way of an example, I'm going to play a quick little clip that I put together. I just went out into some pine forests with a couple of friends and shot a video for this. And we're going to watch it one time. It's 20 to 30 seconds long, I think. And then I'm going to play it again and talk about how I planned the shots, why the shots are, why the camera's facing the way the camera's facing, why the talent is moving where the talent's moving, and I hope that it helps you. So let's get into the video. Okay, so like I mentioned, this is a short video, but I think there's some things we can learn from it. The first thing that we can learn is that I am not a graphics guy. I just threw this, I don't know, this is Arial font on here or something, just to give it an opening. All right, let's get into it. So here we go. Okay, these shots here, these shots of her walking, these were actually filmed last, and you probably noticed that it was a sunny day when we got there. But this day was a case where when we started shooting, it was sunny, and then by the time we were done, it was mostly cloudy. And I thought to myself, I just want some cutaway shots for this. So I did these very simple shots. The sun is to her right, so you still get a nice shadow on the back of her leg, and some brightness to the front. And the foliage, you know, has a little bit of shadow and it's picking up some brilliance from the daylight. And these were just, again, these were simple cutaway shots. I'm not using anything here like negative fill that I'm using in a couple later shots. Nothing like that, just very straight, easy shots. Okay, so here's the first big shot, and this is a really nice wide shot just to show the audience where we are. And we're obviously in some kind of forest. And the really cool thing about this to me is that there's almost a natural vignette happening. So if you look at the bottom of the image, right by camera, you know, it's a lot of the green fern area has darkness in it. And then up on top, you have the branches from the pine trees, and they have some darkness up there. And then in the background, which was a happy accident, in the background you have these white, I think, birch trees with not a lot of leaves on them. And so the sun is just really coming down and radiating through those trees, which is nice. And of course, the talent is also walking in sun. So on the top and bottom, you have nice shadowy areas. Then right in the middle of the screen, with the talent and the trees, you get this nice bright section. And I'm going to point out again that for all of these shots, you're going to see that we're keeping the sun on the right side of her. And usually the sun's going to be right around 3/4 angle to her, meaning that you'll see most of the right side of her face, and then the camera side, you're going to see some shadow. And another thing that's important to notice here when you're shooting in sun, if you're shooting in a scene like this where there's a lot of shadows, you know, from tree branches, things like that, it's good to have the talent walking through pools of light. So we consciously and specifically had her walk through an area where for the shot we were getting, there was going to be some good light on her face. And it's nice that she's walking in shadow, into light, out of light into shadow, because it really gives a sense of movement. The camera's on a 4-foot dolly set up in the woods, and that also gives us a sense of movement. The shot here was, I think, at 35 millimeter, and then for the next shot, the same exact setup for the next shot. And right here, we went to a 50 millimeter, just for a closer look. We're still on the 4-foot dolly. And because this shot was done directly after the previous shot, there was no need to change camera, angle, or anything. We just had her walk in the same direction, sun on her right. And on the pine trees, you have nice little dollops of sun here and there, nice shadows on the backside. And the same with the birch trees. The birch trees are back there kind of glowing with the sunlight on their white bark, and then you've got the shadow side of them. So this gives a nice sense of depth to the picture, the fact that we're able to capture these shadows and this light mixed together. Now, if I had taken the camera, if I'd left the talent right where she is and I moved the camera to the right of where I am right now, so that I was pointing directly at her, it wouldn't be as dramatic because the sun would be hitting things more directly and there wouldn't be all these nice shadows. Here I mentioned that the day was starting to get cloudy, and you can definitely see it. You can see clouds in the sky back there, and we waited. You know, we thought, well, maybe we're going to get another break of sun coming up here so we can finish this thing out. But it didn't happen soon enough, and I was getting antsy, so I said, let's just shoot it. And what I did was I changed the color balance on the camera to make up for the fact that now instead of, you know, daylight coming and hitting her, cloud light was coming to hit her. And then in post-production, just to, you know, be absolutely certain, I made sure that her skin tones and her shirt tones matched the shots where she's in the sun. And I'm not a post-production master, but it comes pretty close. And I think that these scenes, the sunny scenes and this cloud scene, really patch together nicely. Keep in mind here that now the sun is still on her right side, still at about 3/4 on her far side, away from camera. And there is a negative fill to camera left, so over by the pine trees, just out of camera range. And that was to give a little bit of depth, so the shadow side of her face has a bit more shadow on it. And even though it was cloudy, you would still get light bouncing off those pine trees in the back and hitting the side of her face that's in shadow right now. And it would kind of give a green kind of tint, and I didn't want that. I just wanted nice clean shadows. For negative fill, I was just using like a duvetyn curtain kind of thing on a goalpost. It was really simple setup. And now you notice that we're back in sunlight, but her skin tone here, and her skin tone here, and her shirt tone here, and her shirt tone here, pretty similar. So it's not so jarring. If you're looking for it, you're going to notice that we're going from cloud to sun, back to sun. But they do match together nicely. Now in this case, I just kept the camera in the same sort of position as this shot, but you'll notice that she's turned a little bit more. And that's because I don't know why, I just wanted the profile of her, but you can see that the sun now is kind of mostly in front of her, but still to camera right. And I still have negative fill off to camera left. So behind her, I still have some negative fill. Okay, here she's walking away, she accomplished her thing, and here she is. And again, sun is still to her right. And again, look on the trees, and you have the shade side of the trees, and you have the bright side of the trees. And that's the consistency I was looking for. I want to look at this one more time, and I'm going to have the shots in order they were shot to kind of illustrate a little bit more how we moved things around and kept the sun on the right side of everything to keep some consistency. There you go. I would suggest if you're going to be shooting outside, get yourself a really good sun app on your phone. I use one called Lumos, and it's extremely helpful. When you know where you're going to be shooting, pull up your app, find out where the sun is going to be every moment that you're going to be on location, how the sun is going to move, what direction it goes, and things like that. And then plan your shoot and how you're going to have your camera pointed based on that information. Now, there are shoots where they're more complicated, and you're not going to be able to move things around because you might have an actor with a certain background behind him, like let's just say a barn, for instance. And then, you know, the sun moves and you can't really move your character because now there's no barn in the background because you've had to move the camera and you had to move the angle of the direction of your pointing in at the actor. I've already said that you should get yourself like a sun tracking app on your phone. It's really important because when you go out into the field, no pun intended, when you go out on location, the more you know about where the sun is going to be, the smarter you can be about how you set up your shots, the quicker you can be, and the more happy you're going to be with the shots you come away with. It's just a level of preparation that's slightly different than going into a closed location where you can control all the light and you can move lights where you want them to be so that it always matches how you want your talent to look. And outside, we can't do that. But again, we can know where the sun is going to be. Then we can decide how to position the talent, how to position the camera, whether we want to diffuse the sunlight, bounce the sunlight, use negative fill, and what time of day we want to shoot under that sunlight. So happy shooting, and come back again and again. Click subscribe there if you like what you're hearing, and hope to see you again. Bye-bye. Happy shooting.